"If you really loved me, you'd be happy I'm happy," she said, moving her new boyfriend into our apartment while I was away. So I called the landlord and had the locks changed. They lasted 3 weeks before he stole her jewelry and vanished. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. Hey Reddit, buckle up because this one's a doozy. I'm a 32-year-old guy who's always prided himself on being the steady type, the one who shows up, puts in the work, and builds something real. Or at least, that's what I thought I was doing with Emily for the past 5 years. We met in college, back when she was struggling with her graphic design major and I was grinding through business school. I fell hard for her laugh, her creativity, the way she'd light up a room with her ideas. But looking back, maybe I was just the reliable backdrop to her chaos. From the start, I was the one making sacrifices. Remember that time she lost her part-time gig right after graduation? I picked up extra shifts at my entry-level job in marketing, covering rent for our tiny apartment in the city while she chased freelance gigs. I'd come home exhausted, but I'd still cook dinner or help her tweak her portfolio late into the night. "You're my rock," she'd say then, curling up against me. I believed it. Hell, I lived for it. When she finally landed a steady role at a design firm 2 years ago, I turned down a promotion that would have meant relocating because she begged me not to disrupt our life. "We need stability," she said. So I stayed, commuting longer hours, saving for a down payment on a house someday. I thought we were a team. But things started shifting about a year ago. Emily got distant, always on her phone, laughing at messages I wasn't part of. She'd make these offhand comments that cut deep, like comparing me to those adventurous guys she followed on social media. "You know, the ones who travel spontaneously and live on the edge," she'd say with a sigh, scrolling through posts of dudes rock climbing or backpacking through Europe. I'd brush it off, thinking it was just stress from work. But then came the disrespect. She'd post vague stories online, stuff like memes about trading up from boring routines or quotes about needing more spark in life. Friends would tag me in them privately, asking if everything was okay. I'd defend her. "She's just venting creatively." It escalated to emotional abandonment. Nights when I'd plan a date. Nothing fancy, just takeout and a movie. She'd bail last minute for work drinks that stretched into the early hours. I'd wait up, worried, only to get a curt text. "Don't wait. I'm fine." The next morning, she'd brush off my concerns with a hug and a "you're overthinking it." I felt like a backup plan, always there but never the priority. Once, during a rough patch at my job, I opened up about feeling stuck. Her response? "Maybe if you took more risks, you'd feel alive too." It stung, but I internalized it, thinking I needed to step up. The real kicker was the manipulation. She'd twist things to make me doubt myself. If I asked about her late nights, she'd flip it. "If you trusted me, you wouldn't question this." Or worse, "You're smothering me with your predictability." I started second-guessing everything. Was I too safe? Too committed? I poured more into us, surprising her with weekend getaways or helping with her side projects. But it was never enough. Deep down, I knew something was off, but I held on because I loved her. Or maybe because I'd invested so much. Fast forward to last month. I had a work conference out of town, 3 days in a nearby city for team building crap. Emily encouraged me to go, saying it'd be good for my career. "Go network, babe. I'll hold down the fort." I kissed her goodbye, left her my spare key like always, and headed out. The conference was meh, but I cut it short by a day, eager to surprise her with flowers and her favorite takeout. I drove back early, heart light for the first time in months. Pulled up to our building around noon, parked, and headed up the stairs with that stupid grin on my face. What I found shattered everything. I unlocked the door quietly, planning to sneak in and yell surprise. But the living room was a mess. Boxes everywhere, clothes strewn across the couch, and 2 suitcases by the coffee table. Emily was in the kitchen, laughing with some guy I'd never seen before. He was tall, tattooed, with that effortless cool guy vibe. Jeans ripped just right, hair tousled like he didn't care. They were unpacking groceries together, her hand on his arm as she giggled at something he said. I froze in the doorway, the flowers wilting in my grip. "Emily." My voice came out steady, but inside, my world tilted. She spun around, eyes wide for a split second before narrowing into that familiar dismissive look. The guy, Jake, as I'd later learn, leaned against the counter, smirking like he owned the place. "Oh, you're back early," she said, not even flustered. She wiped her hands on a dish towel and walked over. But there was no hug, no explanation. Just a casual shrug. "I didn't expect you till tomorrow." "What's going on?" I asked, glancing at the boxes. One had men's shoes spilling out, definitely not mine. Emily sighed, like I was the one inconveniencing her. "Look, we need to talk. I've been thinking a lot while you were gone, and this isn't working for me anymore." The guy, Jake, chimed in with a nod, like he was part of the conversation. "Yeah, man, no hard feelings." I ignored him, focusing on her, thinking, while I was away, "And who's this?" She crossed her arms, that smug edge creeping into her voice. "This is Jake. We've been seeing each other for a couple months. He's moving in." "Moving in?" I echoed, my brain struggling to process. "To our apartment? The one I've paid most of the rent on for years." She rolled her eyes. "Don't make this dramatic. The lease is in both our names, but yeah, you're right. You've been the provider. But that's the problem. You're always so responsible." Jake gets me. He pushes me to be creative, to take risks. We met at that art mixer I told you about, and it just clicked. I set the flowers down on the table, feeling the takeout bag grow heavy in my other hand. "You told me that was a work thing. So this is what, an affair? And you're just replacing me while I'm gone." Emily stepped closer, but her tone was condescending, like she was explaining to a child. "It's not replacing. We grew apart. You've been my safety net, but I need more than that. Excitement. Passion. Jake and I, we're on the same wavelength. If you really loved me, you'd be happy I'm happy. This is better for both of us. You can find someone who matches your vibe." Jake snorted from the kitchen. "Yeah, bro. No need to drag it out." I felt the humiliation burn. Her treating our home like a revolving door, him already unpacking as if I didn't exist. "So that's it. 5 years. And you move him in without even a heads up? What about all the times I supported you? When you were unemployed, She cut me off, waving a hand. "See? That's your issue. Always bringing up the past like I owe you. This isn't about debt. It's about growth. I've outgrown us. Jake inspires me. We're starting fresh here. You can crash on the couch tonight if you need to, but tomorrow, maybe find a hotel or something while we figure out the logistics." "Logistics?" I repeated, the word tasting bitter. "Like splitting our stuff? Or do you mean evicting me from my own place?" Her laugh was sharp, cruel. "Don't be petty. I'm being reasonable. Take what you need. We'll sort the rest later." "But yeah, Jake's staying. This is my happiness we're talking about." I stood there, the apartment suddenly feeling foreign. The photos of us on the walls, my books mixed with hers on the shelves. She'd already cleared space in the closet for his clothes. The disrespect hit like a gut punch. Not just cheating, but publicly humiliating me by turning our shared space into her new love nest. She justified it with twisted logic, like her happiness erased everything I'd given. "And if I say no?" I asked quietly, testing the waters. Emily's eyes hardened. "Then you're just proving you're holding me back. Come on, be mature about this. Wish us well and move on." Jake added, "Dude, don't make a scene. She's made her choice." I didn't yell, didn't beg. The confusion swirled. How had we gotten here? But I nodded once, turning toward the bedroom to grab a bag. The betrayal was outrageous, undeserved, but I wouldn't give her the satisfaction of seeing me break. That nod was all I gave her. No arguments, no pleas. Inside, my mind raced. Flashes of the nights I'd stayed up worrying about her, the dreams I'd shelved for us. But begging wouldn't change a thing. She'd shown her colors, dismissive, smug, willing to trample me for her happiness. So I detached. I walked into the bedroom, our bedroom, and packed a duffel with essentials, clothes for a week, my laptop, important papers. Emily watched from the doorway, arms crossed, while Jake hovered in the background like a bad accessory. "You're really just leaving like that?" she asked, a hint of surprise in her voice. "Seems like you've got it handled," I replied evenly, zipping the bag. "No emotion, just facts." She huffed. "Fine. Text me about the rent split later." I didn't respond. Instead, I stepped out into the hallway, pulled out my phone, and called the landlord. Our building was old school. The lease was in my name primarily since I'd been the stable tenant for years. Emily was added later, but I handled the payments. Hey, Mr. Ramirez? It's Alex from 4B. Yeah, there's been a situation. I need the locks changed immediately. No one else has access starting now. He asked a few questions, standard stuff about disputes, but agreed, saying a locksmith could be there in an hour. I waited downstairs in my car, watching the building. Sure enough, Emily and Jake emerged about 45 minutes later, heading out for what looked like lunch, laughing like nothing happened. The locksmith arrived promptly. I explained briefly, no details, just that I needed sole access. He swapped the locks, handed me the new keys, and I tipped him well. Then I went back up, grabbed a few more items I'd forgotten, my coffee maker, some books, and left a note on the counter. Lease is in my name. I'll handle the termination. Find somewhere else. Short, to the point. No drama. I drove to a buddy's place across town. Mark, an old college friend who'd always had my back. Crash as long as you need, he said when I explained the basics. No pity, just a beer in a spare room. That night, I blocked her number temporarily, not out of spite, but to give myself space. The silence hit hard. I sat on the couch, staring at the wall, replaying the scene. The unfairness gnawed at me. I'd been loyal, committed, and this was my reward? Emotional discard, public humiliation. But I didn't spiral. Instead, I breathed through it, letting the confusion settle into quiet resolve. This was my chance to rebuild without her weight. The next day, I started the logistics, notified work I'd need a personal day, began apartment hunting online, and transferred shared bills to my name only. No confrontation, just forward motion. Emily would figure it out when she got back, and that's exactly what happened. The days after I changed the locks blurred into a haze of quiet processing. I crashed at Mark's for a week, staring at the ceiling at night, letting the betrayal sink in. It wasn't just the cheating, it was the casual cruelty, the way she'd rewritten our history to make me the villain in her growth story. Flashbacks hit hard. That time she was depressed after a client rejected her work, and I took a day off to drive her to the coast, just to see her smile. Or when I co-signed a loan for her new laptop because it'll change everything for my career. I'd given up pieces of myself, thinking it was investment in us. Now, it felt like I'd been played for a fool. But I didn't wallow. Confusion gave way to clarity in the silence. I journaled a bit. Nothing dramatic, just listing what I wanted moving forward. Stability without strings, growth on my terms. I threw myself into work, nailing a project that earned me praise from my boss. Started hitting the gym again, something Emily had always mocked as your boring routine. Meals prepped, runs in the park. It was mundane, but it grounded me. I found a new apartment quickly, a one-bedroom in a quieter neighborhood, with a balcony overlooking a park. Signed the lease solo, no backups needed. For the first time in years, decisions were mine alone. I unblocked her after a few days, figuring logistics would come up. But I kept responses minimal, professional, like closing a deal. The unfairness lingered. Why me? Why after everything? But I sat with it, breathing through the anger until it faded into indifference. This was my arc rising, slow, steady, without fanfare. Then karma kicked in, faster than I expected. About 3 weeks after the lock change, I got a frantic voicemail from a mutual friend, Sarah. She'd heard from Emily. Jake had vanished. Apparently, their passionate whirlwind imploded. He'd started showing cracks early, erratic moods, shady stories about his entrepreneur gigs that sounded like scams. Emily ignored the red flags, too caught up in the excitement. One night, after a fight, he packed up and left, taking her jewelry box with him, heirloom pieces from her grandma, worth a couple grand, plus some designer stuff she'd splurged on. She called the cops, but with no proof of theft, he claimed it was borrowed in a text before ghosting. They couldn't do much. Turned out Jake had a history, petty theft warrants in another state, unstable exes who'd warned her online if she'd bothered to check. Without him, Emily unraveled. The rent was due, and she'd been relying on his contributions, which were probably non-existent. The landlord, still pissed about the drama, threatened eviction if she didn't catch up. Friends started distancing themselves. Sarah told me Emily's version of events didn't add up, and when the truth leaked, via Jake's social media rants exposing her as clingy, Mutuals sided against her hypocrisy. At work, the stress showed. She botched a big client pitch, got put on probation. Isolated, broke, and exposed as the one who'd torched a good thing for a fraud. It was ironic. She discarded me like yesterday's news, only to get the same treatment. I didn't gloat. It just confirmed I'd dodged a bullet. The attempt started small, about a month after Jake dipped. First, a text. "Hey, can we talk?" Things got messy. "Miss our talks." I ignored it. Then another. "I know I hurt you, but I was confused." Jake was a mistake. Still nothing from me. By the third, she was pleading, "Please, Alex. At least let me explain." I finally picked up when she called that evening, figuring closure might shut it down. But her voice cracked with desperation, a far cry from the smug woman who'd moved him in. "Alex, thank God. I've been a wreck. Jake, he stole everything. My jewelry, gone. I'm barely scraping by on rent, and work's falling apart. I cut in calmly. What do you need from me, Emily?" A pause, then the hypocrisy poured out. "Help. Advice. Anything. You were always so good at fixing things. Remember how you'd handle the bills when I couldn't? I see now how stable that was. I messed up, okay? I thought Jake was real, but he used me. If you'd just fought for us that day, fought." I echoed, keeping my tone even. "You moved him in while I was gone. Told me to be happy for you." She sniffled. "I was wrong. Twisted. I justified it because I felt trapped. But now, can we meet? Start over? You loved me once." "No," I said simply. "That's not my role anymore." She pushed. "Come on, don't be like this. If you cared, you'd hear me out." I hung up. The power reversal was clear. She'd gone from dismissive to dependent, her logic crumbling. But she didn't stop. Texts escalated. "Please, I'm sorry. Let's grab coffee." Then voicemails, voice breaking. "I can't do this alone. You're the only one who gets me." Friends got involved. Toxic as hell. Sarah messaged first, apologetic. "She's begging me to talk to you. Says you owe her closure." I politely declined. Then her sister, Lisa, called, unpleasant from the start. "Listen, Alex, you're being an ass. Emily's hurting bad. Jake wrecked her, and now she's got nothing. You think ghosting helps? Man up and forgive her. She made one mistake. Everyone does." "One mistake?" I replied firmly. "She cheated, humiliated me publicly. I'm not her safety net." Lisa scoffed. "Whatever. You're just bitter. Family sticks together. You were basically family. Help her out, or you're the villain here." I ended the call. The guilting was gross, blaming me for her consequences, like I owed them. The desperation peaked when Emily showed up at my new apartment unannounced. Must have gotten the address from Sarah. I opened the door to her disheveled, eyes red, carrying a box of my old stuff as a pretext. "Alex, please," she started, voice trembling but edged with anger. "Let me in. We need to talk properly." I stood in the doorway, blocking entry. "There's nothing to say." Her face twisted. "Nothing? After 5 years?" I admitted, I was cruel. Smug. But Jake showed me what real betrayal is. He left me broke, alone. Friends are ghosting me because of the drama. Work's threatening to fire me if I don't get it together. I need you back. We can fix this. I'll change. Change? I asked, unmoved. You said I was holding you back. Now you're here because your excitement blew up? She stepped closer, desperate now. Don't throw my words back. I was stupid. If you take me back, I'll make it right. Cook, support you, whatever. Please, I'm falling apart. The shift was stark, from manipulative excuses to raw pleading, then anger bubbling up. How can you be so cold? After everything I went through? You're enjoying this, aren't you? Seeing me beg while you play the victim. I'm not enjoying anything, I said steadily. I'm just done. She slammed the box down. Fine. Be that way. You'll regret it when I'm back on my feet. She stormed off, revealing her true colors. Entitled rage when softness failed. The attempts tapered after that, but the toxicity lingered in sporadic messages from her circle, all guilting and unpleasant. It only solidified my detachment. A couple months later, the final nail came at our mutual friend Tom's birthday party, a casual gathering at a rooftop bar downtown. I debated skipping it, but I'd rebuild enough to show up. New job promotion under my belt, feeling centered, even casually seeing someone. A kind, driven woman named Mia who'd joined my running group. Life was upgraded, simple as that. Emily was there, looking rough, thinner, forced smile, alone amid the crowd. Our eyes met across the room. She beelined over during a lull, cornering me by the bar. The public setting amplified the contrast. Her desperation on display, my calm, thriving evident to anyone watching. "Alex," she whispered urgently, glancing around. "I didn't expect you here. Can we talk?" "Privately." I sipped my drink, unfazed. "Say what you need to." She leaned in, voice low but frantic. "I've hit rock bottom. Evicted last week, couch surfing with Lisa. Job's gone. They let me go after another screw up. Jake? Still MIA, and the cops say it's a dead end. I see it now, what I lost. You were good to me, stable. I threw it away for nothing. Please, give us another shot. I'll do anything." Her plea hung there, hypocritical after all her justifications. Friends nearby pretended not to notice, but the reversal was palpable. She, once smug, now humbled. Me, the backup, now untouchable. I set my glass down, meeting her eyes levelly. "Emily, you've said your piece. But here's the reality. That life we had, it's over. I've built something better. Work's thriving. I've got peace I didn't know I was missing. Your choices led here, not mine. You're a lesson now, not a regret. I've moved on completely. You're irrelevant to that." She blinked, tears welling. "Irrelevant? After everything? You can't mean that." "I do," I replied firmly. "Wish you well in figuring it out, but from afar." She searched my face, seeing the indifference, the growth. Mia waved from across the room. Emily noticed, her expression crumbling further. "Who's that?" "Someone who values what I bring," I said, turning away. "Goodbye, Emily." I walked back to the group, the conversation fading behind me. No sympathy, no lingering care, just closure on my terms. She left early, humiliated in the spotlight of her own making. Update: blocked her for good, along with the toxic crew. Life's too short for reruns. Thanks, Reddit. Your stories helped me see this coming. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.